live.
Okie dokie.
As it
I'll do
happens.
the checks in a mojo.
Wow.
Once we're actually officially live.
I did not put on any makeup.
Fine.
I look very ill, but I'm sorry for our viewers out there in TV land.
Oh, you're fine.
I was working in the garden. Because it's Ireland, the island of Ireland. Yay, there's Mike.
That'll be better. Sorry. I thought it was
Mike?
on, but I couldn't see it on the screen for some reason. So
right.
I must bring the Twitch up so I can get the chat open.
But it has rained every day in March. Every day. I don't know.
That's normal.
Well, it is and it isn't, if I'm honest. But
It
I
is.
have been itching to get in my garden and do things. And today it stopped raining for a few hours. So
Day was that day.
today was that day. The weeds didn't stand a chance. My whole front garden smells like weed killer though, so
Oh, that's a good start.
I don't know. I might have overdid it. I'll walk out in the grass and I'll be dead.
Hey, howdy, Brent. So he said,
Bueno.
I've received my passport Friday. Hey,
Ah, yay!
Hey.
Very good.
epic.
Ah.
I'm just going to do some checks in the background. Sorry.
Check,
not
check,
ignoring.
1, 2. Pete on the mic.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1,
Mic
2.
check. Oh no! I have your names reversed because when Mike was his video was down, it had it at the bottom.
Right, okay. Well, I'm Mike now, apparently.
I will
And I'm
change
Pete.
that.
Sweet. Look, I have my own Jack now.
Oh, that's too funny.
Jack.
Oh goodness, y'all get to watch this live as it happens. Uh-oh.
Yay!
Too much.
There we go. Here we go. Going up. Going up. Going up. Going up.
With this
It's
one
going
of
up.
2
It's
ads
going
on
up.
Twitch. What the hell?
Are you not subscribed to us again, Pete?
You're forgetting, alright. I will do it right this after this 15
After this
second ad.
message is... Oh, chatty chat. I
Oh, cool,
will
Tetris ad.
I kind of... Has anyone watched that yet?
I haven't.
It's on
Apple
Apple TV, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Like, I watched the biography of it, like the... I hear myself. And it was, like,
Yeah,
really
sorry, Anna.
interesting. But I don't know if a movie version will be. Do you want me to keep talking?
I'd just rather watch the Gaming Historians video on it because it was much
Well, that's
better.
what... Yeah, that's what I watched, was the Gaming Historians.
Okay.
It was really thorough and very good. Good quality and
Yeah,
everything.
it was. Very good.
Oh no! Brett says, to be fair, I'm not subbed anymore. Oh, I only have pre-roll ads anyway. That's good though.
Oh, there we go.
I'm glad about that. I'm quite annoyed. I'll tell you what's weird. I don't know if this is...
Oh, there you go. How's that?
What? Oh, did it
Done
come
it.
up? Oh, dadgummit, I missed it.
I didn't want it read out anyway. It's a bit weird, you know.
Yeah. Oh man, is it? Yeah, it's on. I wonder why. Oh well. What was I saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I have what's it called? Amazon, the Fire Stick. And I did notice that if I watch Twitch on the Fire Stick, I don't have ads. I wonder if that's by design. Probably is. Because I had to pay for Prime, I guess. I have no idea. But I'm happy about it. So
I mean, less ads is always good.
yeah, I spend a lot of time on Twitch. I'm actually starting to spend more time on Twitch than on YouTube because of the ads. The YouTube ads, I just can't. Like,
They
Oh,
are
they're just getting
aggressive.
atrocious now.
they are awful. Like, if I click on something and it has a 15-second ad, and it's always, it's always 2. There's never just 1. I exit out of
they're
it and then I'll
unskippable as
restart
well.
it. Yeah, they're exactly, that's what I mean, unskippable. Yeah, if it's like, if it was 15 minutes and yet you could skip it at 5 seconds, 15 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Hello,
it would be
tequila.
nice.
You can skip it at 5 seconds, I'd watch it. But yes, Brent says Amazon owns Twitch.tv. Yeah, that's why I figure that it's probably not showing ads on the Fire Stick. If so, I'll just
Probably.
continue to watch from there. Anyway, chat, I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes. to arrive.
Oh, I'm just doing a test recording in the background, so I need everyone to do a mic check.
Mike,
Okay.
I'm checking on Mike.
Mike is checking on Kylie. Check.
No, I guess I'm checking on you both.
Mike, check 1, 2. Oh no, there's only one.
2, 1, 2.
Thank you. Right, 2 seconds. I'll be back.
Oh goodness. Let's see. Usually Nana rolls in about now, but he might be busy. We were hoping to catch more Americans at this time slot, so I think in a few weeks we're gonna mess around with the time slot a little bit more. Cause this is late for me. I want to curl up and watch TV.
Right, we are A-OK, everyone.
Whoop whoop.
Can you just let us know on the Twitch chat if we're all coming through okay on there?
Okay.
Right, I will be. Hang on.
Oh, you're actually there.
Should.
What are you doing? What is that? What is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Twinsies.
Far away. That's not what that looks like, Pete.
I don't care.
I thought you picked up like a G-string. I was like, what?
Sweet. Because I just casually leave those lying around everywhere in my room, you know.
I do. No.
Dirty, smelly ones, you know.
Gross. That's like Jock's.
It's his monokini.
Oh goodness.
It's green as well.
Very good.
Hey, hello, Nana.
There he is.
You will find out soon enough.
Our 2 chads have entered the chat. Wow, that was very difficult to say.
2 chads have entered the chat.
After 2 shots of tequila, it's like really hitting me now.
Jesus.
It's
So
nice
he's been
and
dealing
warm
with time zones for the cruise this morning. Brent
Ooh.
has. So what time zones are you sailing through?
Yeah, I'll be entering a new time zone myself because I think.
Oh yes,
1 hour. ahead.
you'll be hitting the old +1.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because that's over where Mike is. He's +1.
I am, yeah.
Well, he's currently +0. But
Well,
yeah.
yes,
Well,
currently.
Yeah.
Oh, I do cannot wait.
I do
wait.
cannot.
I do cannot
You're
wait
in
for
for
the
a fun
heat.
one.
Yeah.
Ah.
Let's see. We start and end in EDT, which I don't really know what that is. The first 2 stops are EST, which I know that's Eastern Standard Time, and the
Yeah.
rest are AST, which I also don't know what that is.
Atlantic Standard.
Right. Is that California? I bet that's California. Oh,
And
that's
then
like Pacific.
EDT is Eastern Daylight Time, I think. That
Guess
was
so,
these
yeah.
4. It gets confusing because then when you have like the Central European time
Mhm.
and then they have the S in there, that's
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
you have PST and
It gets so confusing. Yeah, British
It's far too
summertime
confusing.
really threw me off.
What you
And
mean,
then-
boost?
Yes, boost.
boost.
But like,
Simply the boost.
oh man, boost is good. But being from Texas, ours were Central. It's called Central Time. So
That
okay,
is
so-
true, yes.
yeah, that one's easy.
Essentially, so he said, so technically EDT and AST are the same.
Oh,
Because I believe that I was on, when I was in Aruba, I was on AST, I guess. Want to say. But it was similar to EST anyway, so.
Welcome to our time zone cast.
Yeah, Mike, I forgot to tell you that we've changed demographics now. I wasn't there. I was there covering time changes at the event.
That was it. Oh goodness. All right. Well, do you want to give them 2 more minutes, Pete, before we officially start?
Okay, you've got about as much time as an Iron Maiden song left.
I thought Iron Maiden songs were pretty long.
What, specifically 2 minutes to midnight?
Oh!
Christ! God damn it!
Oh!
I was wondering what you was talking about
Yeah,
then.
I was like-
Okay, gotcha now. Yeah.
I was like,
I
Christopher
know
Lee
most
talks
Iron
a
Maiden
lot.
songs are usually quite long.
Yeah, I was like, Christopher Lee reads like a whole monologue in one of them.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. I was just specifically referencing 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Have y'all ever read? Oh, that tequila is really kicking in. Have you ever read Christopher Lee's like whole biography? Not the actual biography, but
No,
like...
I can't say I have, but I have heard his metal albums.
Those are pretty cool too.
They are awesome.
He was like in the secret MI6. He was like 007, like for real, and did all these like yeah. He did all these kind of like secret missions and stuff. It's very cool, very cool. I was like, what? And then he collects. He used to, well, obviously not now. Who knows? Maybe. He collected like special service medals, and he didn't have one from, I believe, France. And he went on an interview in, I think it was France or Italy, I can't remember. And he went on and did a television interview with them, and as a surprise, they brought him out one, and I was like, "Aw."
That's awesome.
That was very cool.
If I remember correctly, I think he does speak about 5 or 6 different languages, doesn't he, as well? I think he does speak like French, German, English, and...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Brenda said it's all quite confusing because there's also ship time. My God.
See,
I mean...
That must be crazy.
Say it quick enough, that's basically my time in the mornings.
That's the time it takes for fans to ship 2 characters together.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely less than 2 minutes for me. It's been on the show. Let's see. Pete, you're gonna have to call it. I think it's time to start. While I still remember my name.
That was the most drunk I think I've heard you. You have to start a bit.
I can't do tequila like this, man. Like, I love tequila, don't get me wrong. But 2 shots back to back, I think, may be a bit much.
Wow, I think I'm finally starting to learn that Kiley has a limit when it comes to alcohol.
Never. Give me 30 minutes. I'll be back up on that horse.
Quick, clip that.
Yeah, I just meant, 2 shots in the space of a couple of minutes is probably your limit.
It didn't used to be.
I'm pretty sure it goes 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor.
Yeah, that's usually the case.
Oh, goodness. Those were the days.
I remember one New Year's when I ended up winning at a board game and I got forced to drink 4 shots of Jägermeister in a row. with and weren't bombs, they were just straight Jaeger.
Yeah, Jaeger. Oh, wow. Oh, no,
and Nana has said that's the first time I've seen Kiley have a limit to alcohol.
Look, it'll give me 30 minutes. It'll be time again.
give me 30 minutes, a portion of chips, and a few pieces of bread, and we're good.
When I kid you not, I probably told this story already. Who knows? But there's this club I used to go to all the time before lockdown. And right outside of the club, and I'd stay till 3 when it shut down, right outside the club was this chip truck. They made freaking bank.
Every club I've been to.
Yeah, I was just like, those are the best. I don't remember what they tasted like, but I just remember those were the best chips I ever ate.
Well, I can tell you, they were usually quite gross, quite disgusting, quite dirty, but actually used to do banging chips.
Well, like 6 of us would be like, I can't even imagine doing that. Yeah,
literally clawing at it.
I can't even imagine that now. I'd be so grossed out. But yeah, 6 drunk people just like, oh. Oh my gosh.
Reminds me of the last time I ate a kebab outside of a pub whilst I was drunk.
There's literally nothing better than a kebab or a Chinese when you are just plastered. Those days are behind me now. Watch me order a chip. Anyway, we should probably...
guarantee you go get a kebab later.
No, I can't. It's outside of my...
You can after a couple more shots of tequila.
That's it.
Alright, shall we go?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Right, I'm recording. So, let's start the show in 3, 2...
Welcome. That might have been a bit loud. Welcome to episode 155 of Rapid Reviews Radio. I'm your co-host, Kiley Wilde. I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Pete Beckett.
Yo.
And our very special guest, friend of the show, Mike Tindo.
Hey.
Woo!
Good day to you all.
Yay. We're very excited to have him here because Pete and Mike, and hopefully several members of our chat who will show up later, attended what would you call it? It's a gaming festival?
We'll call it a gaming convention.
Gaming convention, yeah. Called W.A.S.D. And we're going to learn all about that. We did this last year as well. I want to see how much it's grown and how it's flourished, and is it going to replace E3? Because of course it is. But before we do that, I always like to check in with our guests and see how their week's been. Mike, how has your week been?
Relatively interesting, to be honest. Well, actually not so interesting, but here we go. I mean, I've started a new job.
Ooh.
Not exactly. I've actually been out of work for a month or so, and in between things, and just before preparing to come out to the UK to visit family and attend W.A.S.D. W.A.S.D.
Whatever you would have called it.
And then I got a phone call just before the weekend saying, hey, we're looking for somebody to come and work. And I said, well, I can work next week, but the week after I'm gone. It's like, okay. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I go, fair enough. So I'll be going back to that when I get back to the UK. And then getting prepared for the flight to come out, because obviously I live in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decide, or rather Mother Nature decides to give me food poisoning. And I was vomiting violently from both ends.
Oh, yes.
All the way through the night.
Yes, I've been there. It's terrible. I don't wish that on anyone.
Really bad. Really bad.
I haven't been there for a fair while, but hey, you know.
That is
it happened.
Awful. Miserable time. But I'm glad you got through it.
But, oh, yes. Fortunately, it didn't last long.
Yeah.
Which is just as well, because it did literally just go straight through me.
Yeah. There's nothing left. How do you
Whilst
keep
you're talking
going?
about this, yeah.
Oh, no. Pete's going to find something. But yes.
No, but long story short, I managed to make it to the UK fine. Didn't have any episodes at the airport or, on the way here.
Oh, God.
And then, obviously, here I am, bright as a button.
Yay! And we're happy about that, for sure. That's really good. Yeah, because like I said, I've been there. It's not fun. So it's good that it didn't affect your traveling, and you're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as we say in Texas.
Oh, yes.
I'd imagine trying to travel on a plane whilst like that. No, thank you.
But Pete, how about you? How's your week been?
It's been a week. So it's just
It's been
the
7
normal
days.
week, work and all, first few days of the week. And then obviously I've been off on Friday.
Ends with Sunday.
Yeah.
Unless you're American.
Well,
starts on a Sunday.
Starts with a Sunday, ends with a Saturday. Yeah. But yes, so yeah, just worked from Monday to Thursday, the usual affair. Not too much really, apart from adult life, doing adult life, as I said last week.
Yep.
So fun times.
Big steps. Big steps.
But yeah, then obviously over the weekend, W.A.S.D was a thing, so did Friday and Saturday there, and then today's just been a chill one until we've done this.
Well, very good.
Heidi, what about your week?
My week, God, I'm gonna sound like the most up my own bootay. My week was spent picking out luggage for my trip.
Look, it's an important part of the week,
Yeah, it's so important.
You have got to make sure that you got the right suitcase, for the right needs.
Match. It has to all match. Everything has to match.
Accessorize, darling.
Yes,
Accessorize.
exactly. Even my like makeup bag and everything, they all had to match. So So I
Makes
got
me
those.
glad my partner's not really like this.
Oh, I am when it comes to accessories. I am an accessory person. But even like my hiking boots that I got, because I'm gonna be hiking Vesuvius. I had to make
Nice.
sure those were just perfect. And
Are
stuff.
they sparkly and gold?
They are lime green, neon green. I did have a choice between black and gold, which is my usual, and neon green, which I thought if I fall off Vesuvius, they will see me falling and then they'll find me because my feet will be up in the air and they'll be bright green. So
Nice. I can see the logic.
yes, it is very logical in my brain. That's pure logic, not paranoia.
Maybe a bit of column A, a bit of column B.
And I got the
Search and rescue, trying to find
2 feet.
Kiley in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's these 2 lime green boots sticking out of wherever.
Yeah, the side of a mountain.
You better hope you don't fall in a very luscious green forest.
No, Pete, don't ruin my plan. That's my failsafe. But no, that's great. And then I have some crazy sunglasses that I'll eventually post that I bought that I'm really excited about.
Oh yes, you told me about this one during the week.
But yeah, which really, it sounds terrible that my whole week was spent shopping, but it was mostly because you gotta prepare. You have to prepare, right?
Yep. Couple of weeks before a holiday usually is when I go on a big trip and go and buy some stuff that I need.
I've got each day, like, the things I need to do as the time gets closer.
Okay. Meticulous planner then.
Yeah. Mostly again.
Have you got an itinerary for when you're actually there as well?
Yes, I do. I live and die by itineraries. Now they can change. They can be fluid, of course.
Wonderful. Structured holidays. Gotta love them.
See, people would be shocked about that. Structured until I start drinking that Italian wine. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
There's literally a winery outside the B&B that is in walking distance. So who knows? Maybe I'll spend 5 days in my B&B room. Never leave. See if I can smuggle a few bottles in. Yeah, exactly. But enough about that.
Un prosecco, por favore.
10.
Is that literally all you need?
Oh, that's all I need. Give me some prosecco and getting excited again.
You're going to be so disappointed when you go there and say un prosecco, por favore, and they go, Prosecco, what is this?
But yes,
dear.
Down to the meat of the story, as we say. W.A.S.D. I don't know how to say it. W.A.S.D. W.A.S.D.
Funnily enough, I think everyone's done this, so...
Yeah, we need to hear what the owner, proprietor, starter people...
Part of me would say probably W.A.S.D.
I mean, it makes sense, because that's the W.A.S.D. keys. Oh, W.A.S.D.
and also because there is actual, dots in between, so it's supposed to be an abbreviation, I guess.
All right, if there's dots in between, maybe. Although, it doesn't matter. The point is, Pete, I'm going to turn this over to you just to know a little bit.
Always me.
Well, yeah, you're the co-host. Just throw it over to Mike. Hey, Mike, here, take half the show.
Thank you.
But Pete, do you want to fill us in a little bit about W.A.S.D. and the background and stuff like that?
Yeah. So this is the second year that W.A.S.D. has actually been doing conventions. It's run by a splinter group of people who used to be employed with. I have no idea whether it was ReadPop, but they are the organisers who are dealing with EGX. So they used to be associated with Eurogamer, decided to form off, I think, from there, and then had started doing their own conventions. So last year actually was at the Tobacco Docks, and this year they had a change of venue to the Truman Brewery in London. So bit of a different place this time around. We'll obviously go into a bit more details with that later on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so very, very different I think a little bit different this time around to probably what it was last year, being the fact that it was not their first show. So
Right.
yeah, I think the second one is usually probably the most difficult. They say it with albums, the difficult second album. It definitely
The
feels like that.
sophomore release. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. We'll launch right into that, and I'm gonna ask both of you because you were there last year too as well, weren't you, Mike?
We was, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
we
came on the podcast last
Yeah, I
year
thought
for
I
this as
remembered
well.
that. I didn't
did
imagine
not.
that.
No.
You never know. It's my brain.
No,
I
no,
could
no.
have fantasized it, and it didn't really happen.
I mean, that is true. I'll give you that.
But Mike, what do you think? As compared to last year, better, quite as good, going in the right direction. What did you feel afterwards?
I think after what I thought was quite a pretty good convention last year, I think they really set off on like the right foot with it. And then this year, I am of mixed opinion. I didn't hate it. I'm not going to say that. I did enjoy it. It also gave me perfect opportunity to hang out with friends, play some really, really great games as well. There's some really cool indie games there, which I'm sure me and Pete are going to talk about in a little bit as well. What games we've played. The venue was definitely interesting, and the distribution of everything, I think. Last year, because it was in the tobacco dock, and a lot of the booths were held in like well, I guess they're storefronts, really, aren't they?
Essentially,
what they were held in. They're like, so each was like a separated room, so you didn't have all the like background ambient noise coming from all the other booths. It was pretty much who was ever in that room at the time, and you could actually have a proper conversation with the developers and the publishers there and talk about their games. And this year, because pretty much everything was in like 2 different rooms, it was very difficult at times to talk to people and to interview them as well, especially like recording purposes. But I think there's room for improvement. I mean, obviously they're still trying to find their feet, and I think they probably did far too well with the first rendition. I believe last year was the first rendition.
Yeah, it was.
First edition, and then of course they're coming with the second, so they're probably putting their feelers out, seeing if it works in different venues, what would be the best venue to go forward with. So yeah, I think there's room for improvement.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Absolutely. Pete, what about you? How did you feel about it?
I'm basically going to mirror most of Mike's sentiments here, actually. And funnily enough, I didn't want to interrupt him whilst he was discussing that, but we were actually discussing this with a few other people that were there as well. So we got to meet a few other people. Like we had a writer was with Rapid Reviews for a while called Dottie, who's I think it's her husband, isn't it, or a friend, or
yes,
I don't know.
Sid.
Yeah. So he was there covering for her because she wasn't able to make the Saturday, which was very unfortunate, but she'd been there a couple of days ahead. So she said specifically it was like sensory overload in there. Like, it was quite difficult to sort of focus on one thing compared to last year. She and I'm only mentioning this on her behalf because obviously she'd relayed this through Sib, is that the wheelchair access wasn't the greatest in there as well, which was really unfortunate. Like, they did have a lift, but the vast majority of stuff, so as you went in from the road, like, it was cobbled, old sort of London style cobbled streets, so it was a bit difficult to sort of roam around on there, especially for those in a wheelchair. There were stairs going up into the entrance. Like I said, there was a lift to get up into the main venue as well, but another set of stairs and all that. So it was a lot of mucking around with that, especially for accessibility reasons. It probably wasn't the best venue for that, whereas most have become so used to what Tobacco Dock was like, especially with Tobacco Dock being used for like EGX Reds before. It's very familiar to most who've been on the convention circuit in the UK, and I still maintain it's probably one of the best venues I've been to for a convention. Like, it's laid out so well. The stages are usually pretty well presented there. The fact that each game company or indie studio or are separated out into their own little rooms. It makes it a lot better that way. The positives I will say is that the venue space itself was massive. Like, there was a lot of room to maneuver around, so you weren't sort of treading over people's toes at times. Although when it started getting busier on the Friday and Saturday, that did start to have a bit more of an impact as more people were there. And I think a lot of the problem with this year's one was that selection of games that we had, while some of them were particularly good, there were some that were either having repeated years or already.
No.
And yeah, so it was a little bit of a weird one, which is why I sort of opened this by saying the difficult sophomore year or the difficult second album, because I really got that impression from it. It had some positives, but it was a lot of mixed reactions to it.
Wow. Well, since you brought it up and I'm curious, let's talk about games. So, Mike, what did okay. Were majority of them new to you? Did anything stand out to you, and are you looking forward to any coming out?
There were certainly a few games there that I was certainly interested in and would definitely be looking forward to when they come out on Nintendo Switch and also on other consoles as well. Full Void was a very good game. That's one of the first I played there,
Right.
and it gave off a kind. Oh, what is going on?
Oh, we lost a little bit of volume there.
Yeah.
Somebody decided to phone me halfway through.
Oh,
I do apologise.
That's
No, you're all right.
We'll just clip that out. Sorry.
Yes, no.
It's fine.
So Full Void, it's kind of like a Dragon's Lair, but it's set in like a futuristic setting where
Cyberpunk
robots have taken over the world.
Ooh. I like that.
Sorry?
I like
Oh,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and basically you play a young boy who's trying to get to this destination, and there's like a robot chasing you. So it almost feels like Metroid Dread in a way, with like the Emmy is constantly like chasing you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very good. And like I said, it's kind of like Dragon's. I believe it is Dragon's Lair. And if you make one mistake or you mess up a little bit, you have to go back a section and then you have to repeat it. And
That is like that.
Oh yes. And because it's like the storytelling is almost like visual as well, you have to learn by actually playing it. There's no handheld in any way, so you really do have to just learn by doing, basically, which is a very, very interesting concept for games, because obviously some games are just far too easy now as well, or they have like 2 to 3 hours of tutorials before you actually get into the proper stuff. Other games that I've played as well was Girl Genius. That was very good. That was based on a visual novel from the US. I believe it's quite popular over there, or so they said.
Yeah, and this was the game where I first met you, wasn't it?
It was indeed. That's what I was playing at the time.
Yeah.
And then there was Stick It to the Stick Man.
Oh, this game. This game.
Is that part of the Stickman series, or is that separate?
I don't know if it is, but it was just a lot of fun anyway. I'll let Mike explain the premise.
Those are funny games if it's part of that series. So.
Well, I don't know whether it's part of the series. I believe it's been published by Devolver as well, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah. Okay.
It's a real Devolver kind of game.
Yeah, I know what they are. Yeah, they're hilarious.
So, it reminds me a lot of, I believe it was a game or a video back in like the early 2000s, was like Extreme Stick of Death. So you play a Stickman character, and you have to just beat your way through the many like stickmen enemies that come towards you, and you have to beat them up. Basically, you work in an office building, you get fed up with your job, and you just decide to deck everyone and try to work your way up to the top to beat the CEO.
Yeah.
And the scenario that happens at the end of it as well is really quite funny. It gets oddly dark as well.
It does.
Leave it to Devolver.
Yeah, that was quite fun, because this was around about the point where we were with Seb and Richard, was it?
Rich. Yeah.
And they were playing on the station next to us, and we were competing against each other to see who could get furthest.
Oh, that's great.
It was a real good laugh. This is probably my game of the show. Actually, it was so
Oh,
much
I
fun.
think so. Yeah, for me as well. For me as well.
Yeah, so I was talking to Mike at the time. It sort of reminds me of like those Stickman games that you always used to get on like Flash and
oh
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Newgrounds. Oh yeah.
But specifically, it sort of reminded me of a rhythm action game that I was playing like about a year ago called One Finger Death Punch. That was
Oh
like
yeah.
a
Yeah.
It's a rhythm action game that's sort of like centered on PC, where it's like you've got two different kind of directions, and it sort of felt like that, except you know you've got a controller and you're moving around this office building and you're upgrading skill. Like you have like a unique set of weapons that is like specific to like I think it's like 12 or 15 characters you have in this, don't you? And it's like you can sort of upgrade each individual skill like as you get to a different kind of chest. So like I think as a handyman, my sort of one of my weapons was a nail gun, which then got upgraded into a glue gun. So people started getting stuck to walls and ceilings, and it was bonkers. It was completely mad. It was so much fun.
And then there was like the conservative class as well, which really liked their guns, and the guns would get upgraded as well. So you start off with like a handgun, then it becomes a submachine gun to a full-blown minigun. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think I'm not sure why I ended up upgrading one of mine to a chainsaw, but that animation where it just kept hacking at people was quite interesting, where it would launch you forward.
Oh. I wonder if there's a pacifist mode.
I don't think there is, but you can get kicked out of Windows.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we did it a couple of times to a few of the enemies, didn't we? So it was just oh my days. But yeah, like I said, it got really dark at the end, especially when you take down the CEO and it's giving you a set of options of what you want to do. It was like, this CEO has screwed over your company. What do you want to do? Like, spare him or stamp on his face? It's like, okay. It's like, the CEO is nearly dead. What do you want to do? Stamp some more?
Oh my goodness.
I think one of the options was throw him off the building, and it's like, okay, cool.
Well, did anything kind of stand out as, oh my gosh, this game is not ready, why is it here? That type?
No, it was
Everything
ready. It's probably should be out. I'm not sure if it already is, but
well, I mean, in general, were there any games that were like you were surprised that they'd brought them?
Oh yeah, loads of them actually. To be fair,
I mean, Bandai Namco had a game there as well. I think it's called Park Beyond, which is kind of like a spiritual successor to
Theme
Park games.
Yeah, I've never been able to get into
Zoo Tycoon, like all that lot.
Yeah.
It was a bit difficult trying to get to the grips with that. I mean, I'm not too familiar with like PC gaming anyway. I must admit, I'm very console or very Nintendo centric.
Yeah.
If I'm being specific. But it seemed awkward in how to, raise the pitch, turn the rails over, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like it could have been a bit more streamlined, a bit better. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it could just be me as well.
I think it was the both of us, because we were both sort of like trying this out together, and it was like we both couldn't work it out. So UI wise, it probably isn't overly well optimized. We're both not PC gamers really as is, but it just felt like a lot of the controls could have been very easily simplified. So like you're holding shift and then trying to rotate your mouse like over 90 degrees, and it just it doesn't work. It's like, in terms of the human anatomy, you can't twist your mouth, like your wrist, that much. And it's like, all right, calm down. Like, I'm gonna break my wrist by playing this. Like, the art style was interesting though, because funnily enough, we did actually find out that it was made by the people who made Tropico, so it's a different sort of take for them.
Right.
But I wasn't overly as interested in this one. It looks nice, but I probably will wait for a console version of this one, because control-wise on PC it felt a bit much. Now, this is where I was slightly disappointed with it, because you had 2 Point Campus at W.A.S.D last year, and they had setups where you could play it with both PC or Xbox controller, and they had both set up, but this was exclusively PC.
Right.
So I felt it probably would have been
PC. it was at the event anyway. It is coming to
Yeah,
other consoles
yeah,
like PlayStation and that.
Mhm.
But at the event, it was only like PC.
yeah.
There was no
That's what I
controller.
meant by
Right.
exclusively like a PC control method, rather than actually having controller support set up for it to trial that out at least. And it is only coming to Series X and S and PS5, so it's like
Yeah.
there isn't an older version coming. So it's with those in mind, I guess. Yeah, that one had quite a big presence, and they had a few stations set up for it. It really wasn't very busy at all.
Well,
So, there was a couple of other games there that I looked at, and I went, I'm not sure why these are here. Like Heave Ho, Heave Ho's a great game, but it's been out for a long time.
yeah.
I guess one of the things about that is probably they set that up for like multiplayer booths so that people could just sit on the sofa and just have fun with it. Cult of the Lamb was there, and that was been out for a while, but they were showing off the new DLC, I think.
Right. Okay.
And the other one that sort of didn't make a lot of sense to me, but sort of did after someone explained it, was Vampire Survivor.
Right.
Obviously the game's been out for a long time, but being the fact it recently just won a BAFTA Games, it's probably the reason why it was there.
Yeah.
But that whole station was mobbed most of the time.
But it was.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Mind you, there was a queue for Dead Rising 2. I believe that was there.
Wow.
Oh, Dead Island 2.
Dead Island 2. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah,
Dead
and
Island.
towards the back corner, this was really silly. Actually, I thought this was a bit much. Like, so they had System Shock remake and Dead Island 2. Now they're both play-on games that and they're both over 18. So they've sort of pushed them right into the very back corner of the main hall and segmented them off. It was sort of like, yeah, if you want to go and check them out, you have to go all the way over there, you know. Like, you'd think of one of 3 sort of major AAA games. I know this is more centric towards the indie scene, and I'm glad about that, really, but it did sort of feel like that some of the big hitters that are going to draw your bigger crowds in were sort of shoved off into little corners.
Right.
Although
even PlayStation was there as well in one corner, but as you come into the main entrance of the place, I mean, unless you knew where you was going, you'd have to go all the way around before you found it.
Right. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, it took me a while to actually find where Mike was sat, because I wasn't sure where anyone was or anything was at the time. It was like, and I'd already been there a day at that point. It was sort of, the layout of it was a little bit odd, I will say. But yeah, then they made some pretty strange choices with some games, really, like where they were located. Like I said, with System Shock and Dead Island 2. But Street Fighter 6 was literally right next to the main entrance, and there was no way you could avoid it at all. Now, I'm not complaining, of course.
I was gonna say.
But to anybody else, because I'm going to go out on a whim and say this is probably the busiest area of the whole weekend that I saw. And it was quite difficult to meander your way through there because there were quite a few people there.
Right.
So they had like a little walkway that sort of went out of this door to the right, and it was just there. But if you went past that little booth, it was just there. So anywhere you went, no matter where I was in that main hall, I could see and I could hear Street Fighter the whole time. It was particularly odd, I will say.
Yeah, I was thinking,
especially on an indie scene kind of.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it felt like, and like I said, I'm not complaining personally for myself, but it did feel like it took a lot of the spotlight away, and I guess like maybe a bit more of a balance properly between indie and AAA would be better. Like, maybe scatter some of them into the main area with some of the indie games as well. I don't know. I guess there might be clauses in contracts to games being there. Just they have to have their own sections. The play on one made sense because of how it being an over 18 section. That was all, because they've done that before with like EGX and I think W.A.S.D did it last year as well, where they had a specific 18 section that was just you couldn't get in, or was sort of you couldn't see anything behind there.
Well, I was gonna say.
Well, for example, like you said about EGX, like there was Wo Long, wasn't there? last year. And that was a fully, like boxed in area. You
See,
couldn't actually
that's
see anybody playing games.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't
because
know whether
they
that was 18 or not, but it did have,
yeah
a queue, pretty big area, and a lot of people trying to get into that game as well. But you'd
yeah
have to
because I
actually be in the queue to get in.
Mhm.
yeah I wasn't at EGX last year, but it was the year before where they
That is correct.
had Back for Blood and that was the same thing. It was
That is
like
correct.
behind the curtain sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's how Insomnia does. Okay, we don't get a lot of games here in our conventions. So we had Ghost Recon. Woo.
Oh.
Oof.
That was the big one here. But it was all curtained off, like it was a box,
Yeah.
curtained off, and you could go in there and play and stuff. But how did you feel though about the balance of indie and AAA? Was it a healthy balance, or did it favor one over the other?
I think, well, I think what like main AAA games or big publishers there was Bandai, there was I think Sony,
Yeah.
and obviously Capcom,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest really were independent publishers or independent, developers as well. So
Yeah,
obviously
the only
Devolve was there; they got a big, quite a big area of it. They got quite a big piece of the pie. Then there was the Curios area, which seemed to have like a single screen or single game on a single screen, and it was different developers. So on one
yeah
side you'd probably have about 8, and then on the other side there was another 8.
Right.
Whereas other booths had more for their, for their game. So they
yeah
probably had about 4 playable demos, whereas the other side only had like 1 screen for their game, and that was about it.
Right.
yeah. So it felt like the really smaller time indie. So like people who had like a development team of like 1 or 2, they got like these small sections or like a small like 2-screen booth or something. But then you had things like I said with System Shock, with Dead Island, they had a few more set up ready for it. Street Fighter itself had I think 7 or 8 different setups. Eventually, like there was three that were playable on modern controls and 3 that were playable classic. They had a tournament set up booth and then 1 extra one that was set up for after tournaments were done.
Right.
So that was quite a lot, to be fair, but it sort of made sense once I explained the differences behind it, because I'm saving that till later.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was other games. What was it? It's like Stick It to the Stick Man had like 4 set up, didn't it? And Devolver always
Well-
usually get quite a lot of setups in their ones.
Yeah. They have like whole
But
set
they had
pieces.
quite a lot of games to show as well.
They did, yeah, but even when they had multiple games, they still had like 2 setups for that game, or 3 at like minimum.
Oh yes.
They're very good at
And then
PR.
But then there was another game there that I was quite interested in playing, but after watching it, I went absolutely not touching that at all. And they had like eight consoles set up for it,
Right.
as well as a prop. And we'll get to the prop in a minute.
Okay.
Which was Undisputed.
Okay.
So it's a boxing game. And
Right.
so I was watching this game, I was watching someone play it, and I think we did this later on in the afternoon as well. So I'd done this on my own beforehand. And the physics look awful to that game. It was really quite weird. Because it's obviously licensed, they've got quite a lot of like old school boxers, current gen boxers and that, and there's obviously a lot of work that's gone into it, but it's sort of just it's sort of like the way it looked like it controlled was sort of like a sloppy cat fight on a Saturday night outside of a pub.
Oh goodness.
Like it didn't look like anyone was even punching each other, and then someone just went down. It was weird.
That's very strange.
That is
Yeah.
true, but then it might be because a lot of people don't know what the controls are. Maybe it's quite a technical game,
Yeah.
rather than
Very
being like a
true,
simple
okay.
arcade brawler where you just press one button is punch, or what's it? Maybe you had to do a sequence. If somebody's got a high block, then you'd have to go for a low blow, or jab here. Who knows?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that one actually. It might have been a bit too technical of a game to try and highlight there, but especially in such a short demo period. But obviously the thing that they had set up was one of those punch bags. That was the busiest thing around that booth. Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Some of those were so funny, to be fair. Oh, days.
I would.
Yeah, because that's how we finished our day off yesterday, wasn't it? Was by watching that for a fair bit.
Well,
just watching the people line up to give it a jolly good swing.
Yeah, you
And
see
then
those
there was one guy who was really going at it, and he just could not get over more than 909, I think.
oh god.
And he did give it several times because there was other people that were with him as well, I suppose.
proper
and they were,
egging him on to do it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they're getting like 950, 970, because I think it goes up to 999 or whatnot. And
It
this
does
guy just,
usually, yeah.
no matter how much he went for it, he just could not get any higher. Also, I didn't give it a go because I know I'd get far lower, but
I didn't give it a go because I'd probably throw my back out.
Oh goodness. I always love doing those. Always.
I'm sure you would have done.
there
But
was
yeah, it was
too
it was
many
good laugh.
people. If it was a bit quieter, I may have given it a go myself.
Yeah,
Because there was
to be
far
fair.
too many people really, giving it some. And I
Mhm.
thought, you know what? If I do it, they're going to laugh at me. So, no.
Well,
Peer
laugh at them
pressure
first.
told me no.
Yeah, but Jack did, didn't he? Which was quite good.
Oh, Jack did, yeah. Yeah, Jack
His
did.
little boy as well did it as well,
Aw.
which is good
Oh,
laugh.
yes.
So Jack got him to sort of
Aw.
like held him and sort of swung it for
Yeah.
him, which was quite cool.
Yeah.
But
Aw.
So
He
he
got
put his
400.
hand over. He did. I mean, he put his hand over his boy's fist. So basically, Jack's giving it the he's not the little boy that's
Yeah.
taking it. Yeah, but he was happy about it.
That's
He
adorable.
got more than most of them that were playing.
There you go.
oh, to be fair, earlier on in the day though, I was doing a wander round. It was where I first checked out Undisputed, and I saw someone like giving it the proper lineup, and I'm not going to say who or what they were, but they went to go and swing through it and completely missed.
I love it.
I was doing the whole like knuckle crack and everything, sort of like lining up for it, and then just completely missed. And they to be fair, had a good laugh about it
Yeah, you
afterwards,
have to laugh
and
at
everyone else was like, it was just like,
Yeah.
that person must have been so embarrassed, honestly.
Some of us will
It's quite
play it
funny.
up, so
Yeah,
be like, oh, I meant to do that, totally. But were there any other like outstanding games that were like, oh my gosh?
yeah. There was the game that I think, Mike, was talking to that person about, and it was made by one person, and I can't remember the name of the game. It was like a sort of like a Metroidvania, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first. No, wait, hold on. 3. So there was Full Void. There was Genius Girl, and then there was the other as well. Oh my god, it was only yesterday, and now I can't even remember.
know.
Flipping heck! It would have been the
I know, I
second
was
game that
supposed
you
to go-
saw me play.
Yeah, I was supposed to go into the Discord, yeah.
Yeah. It'll come back to me at
That's
some
right,
point
yeah.
during this.
That is
Oh,
quite alright.
Or when you go back and check your videos as well.
Yes.
Well, so I heard a little bit, but I want to hear from both of you that you both played a little bit of Street Fighter 6 possibly with
Yes.
Pete's controller. Am I correct? Pete?
Right. Let me get into this one and talk about, like, let's get the elephant out of the room. I played an absolute metric crap ton of Street Fighter 6.
Yes.
So, Kylie, I will say that our conversation on Thursday, I was dead right, and had it not been for Mike being on there on Saturday, I probably would have spent the whole weekend playing Street Fighter
Yep.
6.
That's what we talked about was going to happen.
I went, I said to her, I was like, I've got a real fear that all I'm going to be doing is playing Street Fighter, and it nearly became true. So thanks for dragging me away from the game.
Well, we ended up playing it as well, didn't we? Together in the end.
we did. I was like, right, it's 2 months until launch. I need something to tide me over until then. Let's get a few games in. So the Capcom booth itself was set up, I would say, reasonably well. They had, like I said, 6 setups, but 3 were set up to classic controls, 3 were set up for modern controls. The modern controls had a PlayStation controller, and the classics had arcade sticks.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so that's where the arcade stick came in. Okay.
Yes, so there was 3 setups on each, and obviously you got to choose how you wanted to do it. I guess if there was also options in the menu that meant you could change it as well. So if you were playing on controller, you probably could play with the classic controls as well. They had regular tournaments throughout the day, so I think there was 3 setups. So there was like 1 at 11:30, 1 at 1:30, and 1 at 3:30. So kept the engagement going throughout the whole day, and the guys at Capcom, they really know how to put a show on, because it wasn't just... So it was a community manager that was there who's... I'll get into that with you a bit later on.
Okay.
But they also had, because he's part of the UK scene, they had Jammers there, who is... he's basically helping Capcom with a lot of their stuff. He works for them. And actually commentates there as well. So he was just randomly there, sometimes playing on a setup. You might get a game with him here and there. They had a couple of, like, either pro players or people that were on the cusp of going pro, or YouTubers that were there covering the game. So there was a lot of presence, and I got my ass wrecked a couple of times by a few decent players, not gonna lie. So all of Friday I basically spent pretty much most of my time there. Met a guy there that I played about an hour and a half's worth of sets with, and it was fantastic. He played really good Chun-Li, to be fair.
Oh goodness.
And considering he was a Guilty Gear player and was like, yeah, I haven't played Street Fighter in years. I've recently just picked up 5, and it was like, yeah, you're pretty good. Like, fair enough. Ended up joining a tournament and coming 3rd. I will say that my first opponent in there was probably a 7-year-old kid and gave him the severe beatdown. But you know, tournament, you got a tournament.
I was gonna say.
To be fair, you gave me quite a severe beatdown as well.
No,
that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, so apparently I came off of this tournament. I literally put the headphones on, like, just straight focus. Was just like, I'm not listening. I'm not seeing who I'm facing. I don't care. Like, laser focus. I came out and I spoke to the guy who played Chun-Li, who had the same problem as me, because he faced the kid's sister before that as well. And that guy and the person who he was with decided turned around and went, "Man, you're a savage." I was just like, I didn't realise who I was playing until I stood up. I was like, oh no.
Well, they have to learn. They have to learn.
They did, but the second game like I had was against the guy that I'd been running sets with for about an hour and a half, and that was a really good game, to be fair. Like, really good set of games. Well, I came 3rd and won myself a t-shirt, and hang on.
Very nice. Poor listening audience.
I don't know if you can see this properly. Hang on.
We're gonna have to clip this too. Pete has gone to get something in his room. Wait. What?
Oh, it's a Blanca.
Oh goodness!
A Blanca rubber duck.
It's a rubber duck. It looks like Blanca.
Yes.
It is so cute.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. And a pin as well. So cool.
Well, that's
Not
really
gonna
cool.
complain.
Well,
yeah, the guy who ended up winning the tournament basically didn't want his prize because he was too good.
Oh goodness.
No, we were talking to him afterwards, and Jesus, so he played the same character that I did, so I was standing there talking to him for a good few minutes afterwards, just asking him some strategies, and that he was more than happy to help. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, see, I like that.
But then I ended up speaking to the community manager for Capcom for about an hour straight afterwards, which was amazing.
I was going to say, there you go, Pete.
It turns out that we had a mutual appreciation of the fact that he ran a tournament that was my first ever tournament in the UK. So spoke about that for a fair while. I will talk to you about that in our planning meeting in the week. Don't you worry.
I'm intrigued. But Mike, so you got your hands on Street Fighter 6 as well?
Yes. Now I must admit I'm not very good at fighting games anyway. I do play them, very, very, very occasionally. I think but then is Super Smash Bros a fighting game? Is it an arcade? Is it party? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then even then I only play that casually. But I do like to, just to play and, mash buttons. That's what I do. And obviously I was given the arcade stick that was there, the Nacon, I believe, the Nacon arcade.
Yeah.
which is my first time using an arcade pad because normally I play with a controller anyway.
Right.
And I thought I did relatively well. I held out. It's not like within 5 seconds I was, beat down. That was it.
Exactly.
What I
yes.
couldn't stop myself was jumping, even though tried to go over to the right or to the left. It just seemed to keep jumping all the time.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because there's a button that I'm pressing or whether it's because every time you push the controller in a slightly upward
Yeah.
direction, perhaps.
Yeah, whenever you press a diagonal up, like it's gonna jump basically.
Ah.
So
No,
it's
see,
like,
that's
oh god,
interesting.
I've done a jump. I've just given myself an opening for Pete to, really lay it on me.
Uppercut. Yeah.
Look, I played different characters as well, so it wasn't just using the main.
Same here, yeah, same here. And I was just, generally feeling the characters as well.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the good things about the game as well was that it had like a separate, button or 2 buttons that you could press to do activate specials as well.
Oh, right.
So, you didn't have to try and do the input where, you got to move the joystick around in a certain direction, then press these buttons in a sequence. No, so, you could just like 2 buttons at the same time and it would do the parry. You press 2 buttons and it will do the special move and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
That's good to hear. For sure.
So yeah, it was interesting to actually hear from the community manager over Capcom that actually he's been playing modern controls quite a lot and seems to really like them despite being a veteran fighting game player. So a lot of strategy for those modern controls, and I got to see them a bit more in action, and they work really, really well, surprisingly.
Right.
And that being baked into a UI level is quite impressive as well. And from what I heard as well, and I don't know if I should be mentioning this because it might be embargoed, but he told me,
Pete, do not mention it. No, we're on Twitch.
No, he didn't say to me not to mention this. I just don't know whether he was allowed to be mentioning this. Okay, I won't mention it then.
Yeah, let's just not do that. That'll be our special reveal for next week, a cliffhanger, so you guys can tune in. There you go.
Dun, dun.
But,
it was just stuff about the back end of the game that I don't think many people will be that interested in. I just thought it was very cool. Anyway, what I'm not allowed to tell you is, not allowed to say anything, of course. It's just to do with character tutorials. That was all.
Well, we have a lot of listeners though that are definitely Street Fighter fans, but also fighting fans.
I think that's the thing that's been they've been doing really, really well in fighting games recently is like proper tutorials, proper
is good.
How to play them. Like I think ever since KI on the Xbox One came out, it's made a lot of developers a lot more interested in creating fully blown tutorials on how to actually play the game.
They're good.
And it helps
people like
with
me.
such a niche genre.
Yeah, because I am a button masher, 100%.
Yeah, we've all been there before. That used to be me.
Yeah, they're not intuitive. That's the problem. You have to like Mike was saying, you have to memorize turn it half a circle here while pushing the A button 3 times in a row, and it's like
okay, so I'm going to blow your mind. Just wait until you get into a certain known technique called plinking.
See,
there you go.
I don't even know what that is.
Not even going to go into it. Even I can't explain it very well.
Oh goodness. Well, I'll ask you both this though, Mike. Like playing on the Nacon joystick, is that a type of controller that you could see yourself using in the future for anything, not just Street Fighter, let's say, but just in general?
I mean, I could. I mean, I personally don't know, and I believe there are some that are compatible for the Nintendo Switch to play some kind of games, including like Ultra Street Fighter or some of the other Street Fighter games. Probably Mortal Kombat 11 as well, Ultimate on Switch.
Yeah.
Probably be a bit easier to play with that. Personally, I mean, I'd probably get it more just for the novelty.
Right.
Of the thing, and then maybe using it, and I say that because it's like, for example, with Mario Kart, I do have at home the Hori, Pro Mario wheel, and to be fair, I've only used it a couple of times. because I'm that bad at it, I normally just use like the stick. I don't use the actual like motion controls to move
Yeah.
when racing. And the only time I really get it out is when I got like friends around that really want to, give it a go, or if I'm playing too well for them and I thought, I'd dumb myself down a little bit,
Yeah.
give them
Yeah.
half a
Uh-huh.
chance.
Yeah.
Because when I get into Mario Kart, I go really into it, and unfortunately, I can go from first to last, last to first, and it can really, really
Oh
knock
my
people off.
gosh.
Or I can be, first for the full 2.5 laps, and I get to the last stretch, and then all of a sudden, whack! Someone hits me with a bloody
Yeah.
red shell, green shell. We've all been there. As for the actual fight stick, I mean, yeah, like I said, I would definitely, get it at some point for like a more of a novelty item. Maybe I'll break it out when people are playing. I do have, and I got to try and get this name right now. They're like mini arcade cabinets, and you
Right,
basically
okay.
put them together
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I've seen those.
There was like a Street Fighter 1, Resident Evil 1, I believe, Asterix and Obelix. They also
Yeah.
got one. I believe it was done by Microids, and it does have an actual name. I can't remember what the name is. So that would be pretty cool to, like have the Switch set
Yeah.
up in its like mini arcade cabinet with the actual, sticks so that people could give it a go. I think
Yeah.
people might like that.
I think that would be very cool. Pete, what about you? Because you have a collection of sticks.
Funnily enough, the arcade stick that I actually had to use was said stick that I just bought
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
and reviewed.
Yep.
So
We
on
talked about that.
Friday, my God, my back was shot because I didn't know if I needed to take my stick with me. So I did. Took an extra couple of controllers with me as well, just to be sure, and turned out I didn't need them. So the second day I was carrying a little bit lighter,
It's good.
which was quite nice.
Well, since Pete's already reviewed that stick, I guess just go check it out on rapidreviews.com, .co.uk.
RapidReviewsUK.com.
Check it out myself.
There you go.
Yeah. Was it at least comfortable?
I think so. I mean, like, it's the first time, actually,
Yeah,
using that kind of thing, and then you have to have it. Well, I don't suppose you have to have it sitting on your lap. I suppose it's just the way that we was playing then, and everybody else had it on their lap, and it was, simple enough. I mean, you could have it propped up on the desk in front of you and play, or if you're standing up and playing, perhaps. So yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I think those are it, aren't they?
They're the ones, yes.
Yes. So the Microids Arcade Mini.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Those look
Let's
so
have a
But they
look.
don't do them anymore. I think they.
Ah.
I mean, you might be able to buy them off the Microid store, perhaps. They did used to have them in game, but I don't think they're in circulation anymore.
Right.
Okay. That's a shame.
Very short-lived.
Yeah, one day I'm going to build myself an actual cabinet. I want to do the whole thing.
So what,
And
like
then-
a old school cabinet,
Old school.
like emulation device
I
sort
was
of
gonna
thing?
say have an emulator in there. You know the little handheld I held up a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
that had all the systems in it and stuff? Do that, but in an arcade cabinet.
I'd love to do that
Somebody
as
I
well.
follow on Twitter actually did that, and now I'm trying to remember their name. I don't know whether it's Metroid Mike.
Right. Okay.
But he did actually make up like an arcade cabinet that his kids play and had like a number of consoles inside it as well.
Yeah.
So then you can just get the controllers out and play it, and I think it has buttons too, so that's very cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Very nice.
Well, I have another question about the convention. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Of course.
The most important question of all. What was the food like?
I didn't actually eat anything at the venue, I must admit. I mean, I was still a bit squiffy from
Well, yeah.
Understandable.
before, so I believe a lot of people said the food there was pretty good anyway, from what I heard on social media.
Okay.
I heard somebody say it smelled a lot like duck around there as well.
So where the careers fair was, there was like a place that was doing like duck wraps and stuff like that, and
Goodness.
the smell of duck going around was very strong.
Oh wow. That's
Not
so
that I care,
great.
because the smell of duck is amazing.
Oh
when it's
yeah,
cooked.
no, duck's one of my
So,
favorite
but
dishes.
they in the press area, or
That's
rounds
so
where the press
funny.
area was, they had like a Moroccan place as well. So you can imagine there was quite a lot of pungent food in there.
That's really kind of
Yeah,
cool. I was expecting
and I said,
nachos.
yeah, I mean, obviously, having it was an enclosed area
Hmm.
where most of the
Yeah.
stalls and stuff were anyway. So, for like the smell of duck going around or being cooked duck or, burgers and that, I suppose it's probably not very
No,
vegetarian or
I was
vegan
gonna say
friendly.
you wouldn't want that.
No, they did have that. I think the Moroccan place did have a lot of vegetarian and vegan options, to be fair. But yeah,
Yeah, but
I mean, like the
such a.
smells in
I was
general.
gonna
of
say
Obviously,
such
course,
an
yeah.
in an
enclosed
open area, there's
area.
nothing you can do about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe a
of course.
vegetarian or a vegan doesn't need to be reminded of the smell throughout the whole event.
That's yeah, agreed. Okay, I didn't
The
really think
wonderfulness
about that
of
one, but
anyway.
I mean, for me, it's not a problem, but I can understand that there will be other
yeah,
people that may
Yeah.
take offense with
okay,
that.
No, I
okay,
have to agree. I think that it's very difficult in enclosed areas to have like
Mm.
food courts and stuff like that.
yes. You know, they did have stuff outside. I don't know if it was directly associated with the venue, so
Yeah.
or they were just like these things that are usually there anyway. But they had like a Tibetan like place that did like load of noodles and stuff like that, which
Mm.
they had a very vegan and vegetarian friendly focus.
Yeah.
They had something else there, and I can't remember what it was. But they also had bratwurst sausage like
Oh, nice.
place. Like I had that on Friday, and oh my god, it was delicious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to pause here and say that because, see, in Texas we have German and Polish sausage. We don't have British sausage, obviously.
Yeah.
Guys, look, I am not knocking British food. It has its place. But when it comes to sausage, you can't beat Polish and German. They're the best
I
at
mean,
sausage.
I'll be honest. Yeah, kielbasa is
Yes,
absolutely
kielbasa is
amazing. So
oh, it's so primo.
yeah,
If
not
you're,
All I
like
know
German.
is
I'd say if
when,
you're, yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. All I know is that when my brother Jet went to Gamescom back in 2019,
Which is in Germany.
he and his friends, they pretty much lived on currywurst the whole time they were there. So I
Nice.
can totally understand that. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, yeah. Of course, we're saying that. Of course, if you're vegetarian or vegan, I do apologize. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But-
I did make sure to support a local vendor anyway. There was a nice little a little one man coffee shop.
Ooh, nice.
It was like literally mounted on the back of a little van. It was kind
Aw.
of cool. I got tea from him in the afternoon on the Saturday, and before I left, got hot chocolate, and it was very nice.
That's very good. Well,
Support your local people.
yes, actually do that. So as far as like, was there like merch stalls or anything like that peppered
Oh
throughout?
yeah, big topic contention here actually.
Yeah, this is a good talking point, to be honest,
Okay,
because
good.
there were probably two merch stalls with quotation fingers, and
That
then
is all.
there were other stalls as well that were dedicated more to charities.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I believe there was one for like a sea life charity, I believe, and then there was another one for cats, which
There was
totally
cats.
understand
So
that.
there was Cats Protection. There was
Yeah.
WWF and one other. I can't remember.
we get a
what it
lot
was.
of those here at the conventions as well. Yeah.
Mm.
Which I can totally understand, having them there, supporting
Right.
and stuff like that. Absolutely perfect. But it, as regards to merchandise, there wasn't much. I mean, this year, fortunately, there was merchandise for the event.
Right.
Whereas
okay.
last year,
Mhm.
it didn't come until it was too late. The event had already finished. They were waiting for the distribution.
Oh,
It didn't come. So there
Right.
wasn't
Yes.
any badges or things to pick up
Okay.
last year. But this
Did
year, they
Did
did
get
have that.
lanyards though, which was cool.
We did, yes, that is true. We did get lanyards. Very, very nice, very cool lanyards, I must admit. And they had some pin badges which I picked up as well. And I believe Devolve had their own stand, which
Yeah.
had some merch for sale.
They did.
That
Yeah.
does not
They had
surprise
some
me.
of the like Cult of the Lamb plushes and other stuff as well. But by the time I got there, they were pretty much sold out anyway. I had
Right.
like a couple of
Yeah.
badges, and that was about it. But
Mm.
as for like other vendors, like for example, when you see at EGX or in other big events, you do get a lot of merchandise. Even in Comic-Con, there's a lot of video game merchandise. You have your figures, you have your Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic the Gathering, anime figures of every kind imaginable, but there wasn't any of that. Now, I know this is more indie focused, but still, I mean, the fact that they supported like local street vendors for food and stuff like that, you would have thought maybe they would have supported some like local stores or video game stores or retro stores or something. It's a good opportunity to go, because some people that may visit London may not necessarily know where these places are.
Right.
So, it would give them a good opportunity to actually see what kind of merchandise they have, and maybe next time they will specifically visit to go to these stores. So it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity there.
Agreed. Now the problem, like how they had it last year, and this comes back to the food vendors as well, where the layout of the tobacco docks was different. So you have a lot of the sections that are inside. You had this little walkway area that was kind of outside as well, so it was a little bit on the strange side. So a lot of the food vendors were all out there. They weren't, in main halls where a lot of the smells were sort of getting to people. They were off away to their own little thing. Inside the different sections, they also had other vendors there. In the board game section, they had people that were selling different versions of board games or tabletop games or anything like that. In the main halls, some companies had their own merch. They had a merch store there last year, but like you said, it was not stocked. But obviously, in previous years when EGX had been there, they had like insert a coin there. But this, obviously, W.A.S.D didn't have that association with them. And that was
this year they did. I believe their merchandise did come from insert coin, because when I was looking at their store, it did have some inserts on there. And I believe last year, I think a lot of the merchandise that they did have at their stand was in insert coin. They didn't have their own.
Fair enough. What I meant by that is when I've been to EGX W.A.S.D before, like one of the years, they had an actual insert coin shop there.
See, that's disappointing, as far as merch,
So this year, it felt majorly disappointing, and there was a lot of empty room that you could probably see was probably meant for merch or for sellers, the sort of stuff that you would usually get, like someone who's selling a load of board games. You get someone selling anime art or stuff, your usual, what most people would call your convention tat, but some people go there specifically for that. And I think the one thing that it was calling out for was a second-hand cart seller.
I could see that.
Yeah.
My little brain
is
just
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I know they didn't have they had the London gaming market not that long ago. I don't know whether it was held in London. I know it was about a month or so ago. Where they do get a lot of like vendors, and they have lots to sell, video game wares and stuff like that. Magazines, anime, DVDs, the lot. But it just feels like it was a little bit missing there, because like you said, a lot of people do go to these events and conventions a lot to play these games, but also to meet their friends and also to buy merch that they may not necessarily be able to find elsewhere unless they try to personally buy them online or physically buy them online.
Yeah, which is not as fun. Plus you kind of like seeing stuff, so you can see it and touch it and see, it is this size, type of thing. So as a merch vendor myself, that's a little disappointing. But
like we said, there is room for improvement.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But so overall, we'll start with Mike. Overall, what was your impression? And do you think they're ready to replace E3?
Well, now, I'm glad you actually mentioned E3 now, because I do have personal thoughts about E3 as well.
Yes,
I mean, it's always been like I'm sure for anybody who is a small or large media content creator, blogger, YouTuber, or even just a gamer or gaming enthusiast in general, it's always been like the dream to go to E3 and see all this,
100%.
It is it's the pinnacle of, gaming events.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's more geared up towards like publishers and networking, and then it's only like the last few years or whatever they've been letting the public go to these events as well.
Mm.
And the weird thing is that it is managed by ReedPop as well, which does do like PAX East, PAX West, and EGX and all that anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's something that could just be repurposed to keep the video game event going so that people can still play these games. It doesn't have to necessarily have, you know, the latest news and, you know, all that kind of thing. But, you know, being able to have playable demos, you know, giving people the medium so they can go out, hang out, have a great time, have fun, talk with people that they've met online, which is a lot of the reasons why I go to these events anyway. You know, like W.A.S.D, like EGX. I go to events in Spain as well, you know, to meet people like Pete and Rich and Jack and, you know, other people that would never have had the opportunity otherwise to meet. So it is, for me, is it going to replace E3? No. E3 did leave a big hole. Now, has it been declining over the last few years? Yes. Did the coronavirus kill E3 in a way? Most likely, yes. Do people think that Summer Game Fest, now I'll throw that in there as well, do they think that Summer Game Fest is going to be the next thing? It's only as good as long as it keeps going, and basically it's just like anything that you see. Stop calling me.
I was going to say, I think you're getting a phone call.
Oh, I said that's my
Mid-flow.
partner. I will just, yes, especially in mid-flow. You know what I mean? That's my partner. I said, look, darling, I'm doing a podcast this evening, right? I will call you when I finish. Obviously, I haven't finished yet, so I haven't called her. So
Don't worry, I've had two messages from my fiance who knows that I've been doing this for nearly 3 years, or nearly 4 at this point.
Yeah, but anyway, Summer Games Fest, as you were saying.
Anyway, yeah, so Summer Games Fest, you know, it's a video presentation with lots of, like, you know, the latest news coming from developers and publishers and stuff like that. Totally get it, totally understand it. Nintendo have been doing the Nintendo Treehouse for, you know, aeons. PlayStation have been doing their State of Play. I remembered. State of Play. I believe Xbox have got their own presentation as well. I mean, I really should open my doors to other video game outlets and stuff like that. Outlets, but, you know, platforms as well. Just to open up my eyes to the big wide world of video gaming. But, you know, to each their own. I'm not going to judge people for playing other consoles. I just hope they don't judge me. You know what I mean?
No,
I never
exactly.
judge.
A gamer is a gamer.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what platform you're playing. If you enjoy playing video games, in my eyes, you're a gamer. That's it.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, even at the show, they were showcasing mobile games as well, and some of them were really quite creative.
It's going to mess with me again. Automatoy, I believe it's called.
Yes, that was the one. Yeah.
That's a very, very interesting game.
Yeah.
It's like a
also,
game.
Just to stop you there, the other game that we were thinking of earlier was Patch Quest.
Yes, I was going to say I did look it up a little bit earlier when my camera decided to go, you know, blank. That's because I was looking it up, and then I was just waiting for the time to say it. So yeah, it was Patch Quest.
Look, we got to shout them out because he was a very nice lad. So you know,
he was a very, very nice lad, and it looks like a very, very interesting game as well. And that is by Goblin Studio, I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
I like that.
I believe it is.
So, do you think, just based on, you know, I guess last year and this year, do you think that W.A.S.D is set to become something bigger, you know?
It definitely has the potential. I mean, there was a lot of people there when we was there. And I went there on a Saturday. I only went there one day because obviously I flew in the day. The first day I was ill, could not recover quick enough to get there for the full days. But when I was there was a lot of people that were interested. You know, it's not like, just because it's indie games, I'm not going to go. If there's no PlayStation, if there's no Xbox, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? But, you know, there were a lot of people there. A lot of people were queuing up to play these games, especially indie games as well, and having a lot of fun with it. It does have the potential. I do like to see video game events, you know, flourish so that people have this medium so they can be able to play these games, meet up with their friends, have a great time. Because obviously there's only so many people you can get into a room with you and play video games on a TV screen. So, you know, these big events that people can go out, have fun. I'd like to see more cosplayers as well. You know, people just really, really, you know, just vibing
Yeah.
and really getting into the energy of these like gaming events. I do see it having the potential to become like the next EGX Resd, which is basically what I think they want to do with it
Mhm.
anyway. Does it have more work to get there? Absolutely, but
Yeah.
always trying to stay positive here. They do have the potential. I mean, obviously, it depends on where they're going to have it next year and how they're going to distribute things. I mean, everything is a learning curve as well.
Yeah.
You try one thing one year. If it doesn't work, maybe try something else. What does work, use it for the next event as well. Take the criticisms as positive feedback. Even the negatives is a positive because it
Oh
allows
yeah.
you to see what your mistakes were and how to, go further with it. It also, same as well with like developers and publishers, it gets the public playing their games. They'll spot things that maybe the publisher or the developer never saw before in their own playthrough, or, the quality testers as well. When it's like, okay, I've played through this, it seems fine. And then somebody else will come and play a complete, nobody
Yeah.
knows who they are, Johnny the public comes and plays it and then goes, oh, I'm stuck here. The character seems to be hovering in the air for some reason. It's like,
Right.
oh, that's a new bug. I don't know where that came from. So it gives the developers and publishers as well a chance to see, any bugs that may appear or any feedback from their games as well. So they can also improve on their games and also networking as well in between content creators and the publishers to, try and get more awareness for their games as well. I mean, I thoroughly. It may have been a bit different from last year, but even still, I still enjoyed it. I will be more than happy to go again next year. Will you stop calling me? I will call you in a moment. Oh dear, that's 3 times now. If
No,
it's a
you're
fourth
right.
time, if it comes to a full time, I'm going to phone the police and charge her for harassment.
I'm sure she'd love that
That
one.
would be so funny.
Well, she works in the courts, you see, so then the even funnier be part is if she has to work her own case.
That would be hilarious. I'm sorry, but that would be hilarious. Pete, kind of, same question over to you. How did it compare to last year? Is there potential there? Your thoughts on E3 as well, and stuff. Go for it.
Well, look, the news broke obviously about E3 whilst we were actually there. It was all a little bit strange, covering a convention whilst probably the largest worldwide convention that everyone knows about has gone down.
Yeah.
Bit strange. It was been on the cards for a while about E3, but
oh yeah.
I'm going to mirror Mike's sentiments here and say that obviously Reed Pop owning E3, PAX East, PAX West, EGX. It doesn't really help because it doesn't give you a lot of differences between the shows themselves, and I felt that was starting to become the case with, especially during the COVID times when I did the digital convention of EGX and PAX, PAX Australia, I think it was, and it felt strange, and it felt like the merging together of those sort of entities, and you need a bit of a difference between them to make them unique, and I think that's where that leads me on to what W.A.S.D is probably doing right, which is it's a bit more of a unique show. It's clearly very heavily focused on the indie side, and that's a great thing because, the indie scene has been growing like exponentially over the last probably 10 years in gaming, since we saw games like Braid and that actually break the mainstream. It's like that people have got a lot more clamour for the indie-focused studios, and I think it's a great thing that we have things like EGX Res when it was around, and now W.A.S.D picking up that mantle, really showcasing the UK-based indie scene and giving them a good platform to, like Mike said, come and show their games.
Well,
Experience.
it's not just UK-based either.
No, it's not, but it's giving
Also
a lot
European
of like,
as well.
Oh, right,
yeah,
of
it does
course.
give a lot of the UK based scene a hub to sort of be able to look at that show and go, yeah, if we can get our game in there to the public, then great. It's the same with the Europeans as well. It would be a similar thing like you would have in America with like PAX East and West, where they have shows on the East Coast and the West Coast where they can highlight that sort of thing. It's great, it helps with that sort of thing. It needs to work on a couple of little kinks that we've said, to iron out a few more things. I think not having much a big enough sort of presence in terms of not just their own merch, but a general merch seller, like, would be a lot more helpful. Leaving it solely to a couple of publishers, probably not the greatest thing in the world, because only the big boys are really, in terms of the indies, are going to show up like Devolver did.
Right.
It's great that they've had a little bit of a AAA presence there as well, and part of me would hope that they keep themselves as different as possible. Have a couple of bigger games to try and entice more of the public in, but keep it solely focused pretty much on indie, left field collections, all that sort of thing. And I think that's pretty where the show will probably end up being a little bit more successful. Like I said, and we didn't actually really talk about this at all, did we? It was the shows, and I was a bit disappointed with the shows this year because on the Thursday they were associated with like another gaming convention that was sort of around the time, I can't remember what it was called. So attendees for the W.A.S.D couldn't really go to them. And then the other two, I heard clamorings that you couldn't go in there if you were just a normal convention goer because they were locked off.
Right.
Or the type of content they had on there wasn't necessarily great. Like, I think the Saturday we were there, they literally had a day where loads of YouTubers were playing Jackbox, and it was like, okay, cool, but one of the best things about going to EGX like years and years ago was just rocking up to the stage and just finding a random talk and being quite captivated by what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And I think they do need to highlight that a little bit more. The career section, whilst it's not everyone's bag, sort of being tubbed away in a corner also didn't really help them as well, because there is a lot of clamouring for people to want to get jobs in the games industry, and you don't necessarily have a great output, like, in terms of people wanting to come to the show to showcase their games, if your career section's not going to highlight those opportunities available to you very well. So maybe having those in the main hall a little bit more might have helped a little bit more. I don't know. So my summary is, and the long and the short of it is that there's a lot of work to be done. It's been a difficult year this year. It's still run mostly without a hitch. Nothing got stolen this year from what I heard, like last year. Great, fantastic. Antisocial behaviour probably wasn't a thing because the vast majority of people were there to have fun, and I don't think that was the case last year as well. So I would say, so long as most things go off without a hitch, you've had a pretty successful event. I would say that the team over W.A.S.D have got a lot to be proud of, because clearly running an event like this is huge work. Takes a lot of work, a lot of logistics, a lot of long days, long nights, especially over the last week. So I commend them 100% for obviously putting on a really well organized show. It's just, I do think they need to work on a few more things, and it could, by next year, it could be near perfect if they address the odd couple of issues, like we've said.
Well, that's very good to hear, because I'm always looking for new conventions to go to. Now that
you're coming next year, whether you like it or not.
Oh no! Don't make me go look at games, Pete. Oh no!
Oh no! I mean, how else am I supposed to meet you?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah. Look, it's becoming a usual thing now, isn't it? Mike is now no longer friend of the show. He is convention friend Mike.
Real life Mike.
We're more than just friends now.
Yes, this is Rapid Reviews After Dark. That's something we started a couple of weeks ago. No, that's actually very good to hear. But Pete, in addition, did you want to share any E3 thoughts or anything, or did you kind of touch on it enough? Or?
I'll be honest, I'm really disappointed that E3's decided to go the way of the dodo, but I've been calling this for weeks now.
Years. We've been calling it for years, literally.
Yeah, but specifically on the Discord, when every time Nana would mention something in there, I kept saying E3 is probably now dead, E3 is probably now dead, and I'm not changing that sentiment. I think E3's gone. As much as they're not saying this year, it's obviously been cancelled, I don't think they can recover from this. It's what I mentioned with having EGX, having PAX East, PAX West, PAX Australia, all owned by Repop, as well as E3. There's no variation in the shows anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have something that makes you stand out. And whilst I hate to admit it, I think Summer Games Fest is the thing that stands out the most.
You know you love Jeff Keighley. You know you do.
You
Look,
know
I've
my
got
opinion.
no problems with Jeff Keighley.
This
All right? I've got
beautiful
no
little
problems with
baby
what he's
face.
trying to do. Summer Games Fest, obviously, being able to do it as a totally digital medium
Yep.
as well, totally understand that, totally respect that. Obviously, the problem with with E3 is because it was mainly for the publishers
Yes.
for networking. So you're getting big publishers coming from all over the world, and the amount of money that they have to spend to actually get to these events, and then broadcast and present their games to the world and to the masses. I mean, if they were to repurpose it more, like you said, like with PAX East, PAX West, maybe do something a little bit different with each show, perhaps. So there's something a bit different there, so that people will be interested. For example, for those in the US, if because I'm not exactly sure where PAX West is held. Is that in
I think it's in
Los
LA.
Angeles as well?
I was gonna say that's probably
So
California.
there
Yeah.
you are. Yeah.
It's probably
So
California.
obviously, yeah. But then even still, I mean, like I said before, with video game events, it gives people a great opportunity to hang out, have a great time, play some games. Also, like when you see the Nintendo booth there now, I know a guy that works on these booths as well. Thomas Much, I believe his name is. He works for a company that does all like the Zelda and the Pikmin and Mario and all these big designs and the dioramas and things that you see there. Like the one that was at PAX East with the Link with his arm. His company worked on that, and you think this is such incredible stuff. And to be able to see that in person, I mean, to be fair, we don't see almost anything like that at EGX. We don't see anything like that in smaller events around the thing. So, just to be able to go there for like these wonderful sets that they make for these games, for these booths.
Absolutely.
That is an experience in itself as well. I went to a museum a couple of months ago, a video game museum in Malaga, and going past all these, old consoles, these retro consoles, the beginning, like the Commodore 64, the Atari, up to like modern consoles as well, and just walking through this history of video games and actually feeling like, you're a part of it as well. It was, quite an experience. And that is one of the things that, I love about the like E3 and like in PAX West and PAX East and stuff like that I've seen, obviously not being able to attend these events myself.
Right.
It's what makes you want to go to these events as well. To be able to say, hey, I've seen this. This is amazing. And it's not like an experience you can get anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I think every gamer that has ever been alive during E3 has thought, that's my goal. I want to go there. Because I know it was my goal. Yeah.
It was a lot of our goals.
Yeah. I was like, I just want to go one time just to say I've been there. Just say I did it. And I think that's
even though it was hardly ever open to the public.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Now that did...
That's cool. I'll just go and get a job with a big outlet so I can go and cover it.
I would do that.
We all had that dream, though.
I know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But it was exciting. I mean, that was one of the first streamed things. Wow. Yeah, that was probably one of the first streaming events I ever watched. That had to be like 2009, 2010.
Yep.
And
I think that was my first E3, actually, was watching 2009 or 2010, and that's where I started then watching Evo regularly every year.
All right, there you go. Yeah, and I guess mine was like Overwatch wasn't much long after that, so
yeah,
Overwatch tournaments. But but yeah, I mean, there is, yes, we called it, but not just us. Everyone kind of called it that, first year after COVID. It was like, it's not that. Rough. Yeah, it's like, all the publishers can do their own thing, and they did, and it was like, kind of like what Mike said earlier, E3 in its current incarnation, it's gone. It is the dinosaur at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they tweak it and turn it into something else, I think they could bring it back as something else,
Yeah, I think they need to refocus it very heavily on the one aspect that really worked for E3, and that was getting publishers and developers together to make deals, like to get to make it an industry spotlight event, basically, where they could all get together, have thrash out a few meetings, because we all know that there were certain games that never would have come into existence had it not been for E3, like Mario and Rabbids.
Well, I mean,
Starlink
that's
Battle
actually.
for Atlas.
Yep.
Love it
even
or
to a
hate
certain
it.
degree, even to a certain degree, Street Fighter Cross Tekken never would have got made had it not been for E3 or PAX.
That's
So
a good point, actually.
it happens.
Like, you really can't be, or at least for me, when the audience would just go flipping nuts. All they do is show like a logo, and then the audience would go crazy. I love that.
Well, to be fair, most of them were drinking at Bethesda, so.
Well, that's true. Oh, I love Bethesda. We should probably wrap this up. It's getting a bit late. And of course, we appreciate Mike joining us. Mike, friend of the show, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say, we better make sure we wrap it up so his missus doesn't assume him dead.
Yes. But, so...
File a missing persons report on me.
It happened over an hour ago, but I'm over in Spain, so it might have been at the same time. I don't know.
If only I just watched Twitch.
He's alive and well, we're sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. But we thank our audience, as always, for joining us, both our listeners and our watchers, which you can join us over at twitch.tv/rapid reviews, where we are live usually every Sunday. So far, so good. Although we do like to tweak the time a bit, and we might be tweaking it in the future, but we'll see about that. But Mike, where can they find you outside of this lovely Twitch stream?
Well, I run the website Mike Nintendo 64. We're a Nintendo-centric website, so we cover all games coming to Nintendo consoles, be it with obviously the Nintendo Switch at the moment. We did used to do right for the Wii U and for the 3DS and whatever the successor will be. We're also on YouTube as well, on Twitter. Tumblr we don't use too much, but we are trying to, venture into other things as well. There was a whole point of, moving on to other social media like Mastodon and the other one.
Yeah.
The one that nobody ever remembers now.
I can't remember that. And Kick?
Yeah, it's completely gone. And then here we are, back at Hive, I think it was called.
Oh,
that
yeah,
There was
Hive was one.
there was
Hive
Mastodon, there was... God.
There's Kick also, which is a Twitch clone.
Kick as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I heard people talking about Kick as a streaming service. I'm like, ooh.
So basically, we write news, reviews, features, interviews, and the like. Like I said, we also got YouTube channels where we post a lot of gameplay videos to accompany our reviews as well. Yeah. And sometimes you may even find us out in the wild at gaming events like W.A.S.D, like EGX, like Gamescom, hopefully, in the near future.
That's my personal goal. Is to
too
get to
many
Gamescom.
games as well.
Yeah.
Up in Pennsylvania. Comic-Con, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. We get around, did you know?
I see that. Oh, goodness. Well, yes, audience, go out and find Mike Nintendo in the wild, because it's a good quality site, and I know a lot of our audience are Nintendo centric, which is fine with us. We're open to all consoles. Pete, what about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me in the usual place, which is on Twitter at PeteBeckett1, spelled BECKETT and the number 1, and well, other Discords around the way. If you're on Discord, you can find me mostly lurking at Rapid Reviews. I'm on Escapism and a few other spots. But Kylie, what about you?
I am circling the drain of Twitter.
Oh, dear.
Holding on for dear life. Over at Twitter, which is Kylie Tagreet, KLEYTHGREET. I just chill over there. And the next 2 weeks before my trip, I am in high anxiety. So I'm going to be posting crazy things. Maybe it's about games. Maybe it's about otters. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of videos about otters. Their little human hands. I love them so much.
I mean,
They are very cute, I
They
must admit.
are.
They
And
are indeed.
They're full
That
of
or
attitude.
I mean,
There's
your
also
posting of a picture of a weasel earlier was a bit.
that was because that was based on our
I-
show last week.
I know.
Yeah, so expect lots of animal pictures in the next 2 weeks because they calmed me down.
It also only took you a week to post up that picture that you said you were going to post right there and then.
Hey, at least I remembered it. But
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I'll give you that.
I will say though, there is an otter cam, a live otter cam at the Monterey Bay. They're less a zoo and more a like preserve like injured animals and stuff like that. That's a fun one. It's them swimming around and they play with their little toys, and I just could watch them for hours. But yeah, so I'm over there, and then I'm on Instagram, but it's all CrossFit stuff. So that's Kiley Yellick if you want to go chill out there. And I think that's gonna do it for the podcast portion. So
Okay.
we will
You can
see.
find link. Sorry, just before we finish, you can find links to all of everything, including Twitter, Instagram, Mike Tendo's website, and all in the show notes to this episode, either on Spotify or YouTube.
Yes, please watch it for us, please. So we will see you and talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye!
Bye.
Thus ends the podcast portion of our show. We will do a couple of more minutes of streaming because it's very late. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always pretty late when you've had two very quick shots of tequila.
It's already through my system. Like I could have 2 more and be fine.
That's what they all say until they hit the floor.
Like wait till I stand up and I go, oh, wait a minute. I'm not as drunk as some drink will think I am. That is fun. I'm not kidding, guys. I really want to host a convention. I've wanted to, as Pete knows, for years.
Get to work.
Yeah, I was so close.
It is long hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we talk about this image that I've just posted into the Discord?
Okay, visual audience. I can't see it.
No, it is the image of the Super Mario Brothers premiere.
Oh, right. Is it Jack Black? Because he
all of them all lined up together with Shigeru Miyamoto.
Aww.
I mean, the fact that Chris Pratt and Charlie Day are both dressed in red and green is just epic.
Oh, that's cute. I can't see it, but that's cute.
Jack Black had his own custom Bowser suit, which was freaking awesome.
I saw that earlier, and I was like, every time I see Jack Black, I get happy. Like,
yeah,
I've never not been happy when I see him. And then he turned, and it was his spikes on his back. And I was like, I just love you, Jack Black.
Did you see Anya Taylor-Joy?
Oh yeah, and her pink
racing suit.
Yep.
That is so
cool.
I'm not gonna lie, it is so cool.
Yeah, she looks very good in pink.
She does. She suits pink. I'm not sure about that incredibly blonde hair though.
Well, I like it.
I know you do.
For me personally. But yeah, no, that's cool. Pete, you're going to watch it, aren't you?
Yeah, I am on Wednesday.
I
can't wait.
Coming up.
I can't wait. Funnily enough,
I'm gonna see it soon as well.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I double booked myself for this.
Oh gosh, what did you do, Pete?
Rachel rang me up the other day and was like, "Oh, shall we go? I'm not going to see you much this week. Shall we go out and do something?" She was like, "Let's do Wednesday. How's Wednesday sound?" And I went, "Sure, I've got something on, but yeah, let's do it." 2 days later, I had to ring her back and went, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I'd already told you I'm going to Mario that day. I'd already booked my ticket."
Oh goodness.
So, why didn't you come with?
Yeah, did you tell her to come with you?
I asked. She said no.
Oh, no.
Well, it was
she
the
went
fact
to
she's got work
Sonic.
the next day, and by the time that I'm, going, it's 7:00.
No,
she
I get
won't
that.
want to stay around for it.
Yeah, no, I do get that. If I have to work the next day, I get weird. about my
Yeah.
time.
I know it's a funny thing. I'm not usually the sort of person that would like to go straight out after work, but
Nope.
hey, it's Mario. Of course, I'm going
Of
straight
course
out
you are.
after work for it. I did the same with John Wick Chapter 3.
Yep. Oh goodness. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up because I'm sleepy now.
Yeah, Kylie go tequila night night.
Yep. I had my nightcap about an hour and a half ago, so. But it has been a lot
you
of fun.
go and enjoy another shot of tequila. I mean, go and have a lie down and relax and whatnot. I best report to my
Your solicitor, your counsel, or
my,
whatever it's called.
Oh, what's
Parole
the-
officer.
Legal.
Parole officer. Sorry, that's the
it,
word I
yeah.
was looking for. My parole officer before
you go.
they get in touch with the send out a search party.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's been
That's
wonderful
all right. I'm
having
pretty
you.
sure Jack can come and find you at any point. Consider you're close by.
Pretty much. I mean, we're not in the same house.
No, but
he
close
needs
enough.
to, yeah.
Same part of the country.
Oh,
Exactly.
goodness. There you go.
Same town, you know what I mean? But anyway.
Ah, I know. I mean, you can tell you've been at Essex. You've been there a few days. It's starting to come out again. That's what Essex does to you, I
I know
guess.
we're in it, yeah.
My missus is the same, don't worry. My girlfriend, my fiance, she goes down to Essex to go and visit her dad, and literally she comes back with an Essex accent
So
after
does
2
Pete.
days. It's quite funny.
So does Pete.
Yeah, so do I. If
Pete
I'm
comes
honest.
back
I
and I'm
absorb
like, oh.
accents quite easily.
So funny. But yeah,
You
and
know, heard me when I come back from Dublin.
oh gosh.
Top of the morning to you. How's it going, laddie?
And there I was talking about the potato famine.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no.
we do
Oh,
have
Oh
we
no,
have
no.
You
we
did.
have a whole
You didn't.
we have this whole Pete, did you see the statues?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we have it's like a parade of statues
Yeah.
right in Dublin, like right there.
Yeah, I saw 'em,
It's
don't be
all
worried.
about the famine. It's like supposed to make you feel guilty. So
Yeah, the specific thing came to mind probably from
there's even a dog in the parade.
Father Ted, which was what a bunch of bastards.
I love Father Ted.
Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. And Brent,
Okay.
don't worry about that. We do understand when you have to. I understand when you have to get ready for a vacation.
No, don't you worry at all.
Yeah.
Vacation stuff is stressful.
Oh my gosh, it's literally all I can think about.
Yeah, me too.
But all right, we're gonna wrap this up because I am about to just. Thank you so much to our audience. Thank you to Mike, friend of the show, Mike. So we
Thank
will
you.
see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.